Yeah, microplastics are present everywhere in the global biosphere, and in fact, we drink, we eat, and breathe in microplastics continuously, all of the time. So it's not surprising, that obviously there's so much microplastics around us that we can even now find it also in our cells, in our body liquids, and also in our tissues. So far, there are only a handful of studies that have detected microplastics in human matrices. And these include, for example, the placenta and meconium, the first stool of the newborn. It has been detected in lung tissue of living patients and also in colon tissue biopsies. And then in our study, also in whole blood of healthy donors. But I have to tell you this, these are first pioneer studies. So obviously, they use different methods. They often focus only on large particle sizes. And basically, there's no standardized method. So the analytic method is not standardized, meaning, that you cannot compare these results anyhow. And another thing is, because these are really done often with, using small sample sizes, it's virtually impossible to extrapolate that to the general population. None of these studies actually say anything or tell us anything about whether these levels they find are safe or unsafe. So obviously we need to do much more research there. If we look at occupational studies, for example, animal experiments, but also recent work done with human cell models, human organoids, etc., then I think there are strong indications for health effects, and there's a whole range of health effects we can mention here. For example, a major concern is with the particle toxicity of these plastic particles on themselves, a physical effect that can cause inflammatory and immune reactions. There are studies that indicate DNA damage, as well as neurotoxic, developmental, and also metabolic effects. Very recently, there was a study with mice, I think that they found effects on the kidney. And I recently also wrote with colleagues from Austria, a review paper on the potential carcinogenic effects of these plastic particles. I think the medical sector is getting more aware of the potential emerging illnesses and syndromes that could be related to plastic particle pollution. So I think it's good for the medical specialists and the doctors to understand, to know about this emerging problem. It's a problem that will increase in the coming decades. So our exposure to particles, but also the chemicals, will increase. That's pretty sure, and we can see that plastic has quite a share in that as well. So, but of course, you can think about surgeries, autopsies, or pathological investigations. For example, urologists could keep an eye on kidney disease. You can also think about gastrointestinal specialists that should be aware of the fact that maybe the high consumption of micro-nanoplastics can trigger inflammatory bowel disease, etc., etc. So there are quite some clues there, and I think if you're aware of that as a medical doctor, that could help a lot. And of course, you have the educations of the patients and the staff about the use of plastics. What we try to do in our multidisciplinary projects is to try to eliminate the bad and the ugly plastics from the. And you can do the same from the hospital. Try to eliminate the bad and ugly plastics there. Look for ways to separate recycled plastic waste, for example, waste from the endoscopy room. Maybe you can recycle it partly, etc., etc. And I think several hospitals in the Netherlands are currently doing this already. So there are examples where hospitals are trying to do that. So for the interested medical doctors and medical researchers, I think this is a new and very exciting field of research, and it's also very complex research. And we really need you and your expertise to participate in multidisciplinary research programs. I think that is the way forward to elucidate possible plastic or microplastic associated health problems and to reduce diseases in the coming decade. So medical doctors and specialists, you play, and are going to play an increasing and indispensable role in this. Well, of course, and that is my personal expectation and view, but I think we can see it already happening in Europe, for example, where we have these multidisciplinary projects together with hospitals. I'm an environmental toxicologist, and I work together with medical specialists. And they know, they have knowledge, and they have tools and methods. You know, we don't have them. And if you put everything together, our knowledge, and also you put the let's say the polymer chemists there as well as we do, and the politicians, that is a very strong combination. And this is where we go for in the coming years and maybe even decades, you know, to investigate this problem, and maybe hopefully to come to a serious conclusion that we are not dealing here with a very serious health problem. But I'm not sure about that.